Hey guys, my name's Christopher Bohse. I'm one of your AFC Armada fleet leaders and here to talk about the Admiralty system today. Now, I know a lot of newer players and also players that have been around for a while but haven't really gotten that deep into the game, and some of the different things that you can do into it have probably at least seen the Admiralty, or have maybe seen what the tutorial has to say about it and how to complete an Admiralty mission. But I'm here to talk about it in its entirety, possibly how to strategize your usage of this to better help you progress in game, and of course demonstrate the absolute, in my opinion, one of the greatest things that you can do in game to help yourself progress and gather more resources in game. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Admiralty system today, and hopefully give you all a great tool to help you progress even further, even faster in Star Trek Online. So looking at what we're going to be doing, I'd like you to first open up the Admiralty system. And in order to do that from your user interface, whether you're on the ground or in space like I am here, you can go ahead and look at your mini map, and just underneath there in the center you'll see the icon with the three heads. Go ahead and click that initially, and that's going to bring up it won't necessarily bring up your Admiralty window first, but it does bring up the window that has to do with duty officers, R&D, Admiralty, your crew, particular roster, and of course the overview for all the different disciplines that you'll be working on with your duty officers. But focusing strictly on the Admiralty system, I wanted to go ahead and give you a little bit on this and why we do it and what's it good for, and when can we take advantage of this, etc. So what you need to know is that up until about level 49, through level 49, you're really unable to use the Admiralty system. But once you hit level 50, you do become an admiral in the game, and with that you gain the ability to command other starships other than just your own. What we're going to be doing here, demonstrating, is how you can use this to your advantage. Now, many of you are going to have a limited amount of slots initially that you can use to fly these missions. Initially, I think you get 3, and then for getting your first campaign up to level 3, you get an extra one. Then if you do 2 campaigns at level 5 or something, you get another one, and so on and so forth. So it'll tell you in each of the slots what it's going to take in order to open up that Admiralty slot. But what is Admiralty? Well, so this is the system by which the game uses for you to go ahead and send out the ships that you've earned as part of your own personal fleet of starships to carry out missions for you as their commanding officer. And one of the things that you're going to want to be taking advantage of, because it gives an extraordinary amount of resources in game that are going to be very, very useful for you. So, well, what type of resources are we going to be looking at? Well, we're talking about dilithium, experience. We're going to be talking about sometimes GPL, which is not useful in the game but does have its benefits, if you're into certain things, aspects of the game. And then we're talking about EC as one of the big ones that you can get from this, and also campaign XP. But how do you use the Admiralty? What are your how do you get ships for this, and how do you send them out on missions? Well, we're going to cover all that now. And so the first thing I want to take a look at is looking at the ship roster. Okay, this will tell you how many ships you have and your ability to use for Admiralty missions. And when you select that, it gives you the roster, and you can go ahead and kind of scroll down and see what's available, and just kind of get an idea of what you have. Now, not everybody is going to have this amount of starships available to them, I know, but at the same time, you may have more, you may have less. It doesn't really matter as long as you're using them effectively and efficiently. Is kind of the name of the game here. And when I say efficiently, we'll explain more, but you want to kind of get more bang for your buck, and I'm going to show you one of the strategies that I use if I were starting out at level 0 in the campaigns, how to bring those up. Now, you'll notice that there are 4 different campaigns. There's the United Federation of Planets, the Klingon Empire, the Romulan Republic, and the Ferengi Alliance. Now, the reason that these are important are not just to gather resources, but they have other benefits. Like, for example, as you're leveling up, you're going to notice that some of the rewards it gives you is pretty great. But once you reach level 10, there's an additional reward that comes from that, which is pretty spectacular. And that's going to be an extra ship card or an epic ship card. And what do I mean by an epic ship card? Well, when you're looking at the ship roster, you notice that there's some common ones like the shuttles, and you'll notice that, or these heavy cruisers and support cruisers. But then there's some rare ones, and then there's some, or more common ones, and then there's some. So you'll see the green ones here. These are the uncommon, and then we have rare, and of course we have very rare, which would be the purple one, something like this. We have the ultra rares, which would look like these here. And then, of course, we have the epic ships, which are all listed here. Now, for the United Federation of Planets, you're going to get the USS Rhode Island, which is pretty spectacular. It's a great science ship if you take a look at that. For the Klingon Empire, when you complete Tier 10, you're going to get the IKS Heg, and all of its abilities. You're gonna, for the Romulans, you're gonna get the RRWs and Denia, and for the Ferengi Alliance, you're gonna get Quark's Triumph. Why do these matter? Like, what are these, and what are these little ship cards? How do I get them? How do I use them? All of that stuff. These are all great questions. So let's take a look at first just a campaign in the Federation campaign area here to kind of give us an idea. So looking at a mission, if I'm at level 0 in any of these, one of the greatest strategies that I'm going to use is kind of to determine, well, I want to bring this up to level 10 as quickly as possible so I can just kind of do the missions that I need and focus my attention on just the resources I need at the time. So you're going to notice that there are some different resources available for each of the different campaigns. Now, you're going to have some crossover, of course, but what you're going to notice, I think, when you're looking at the Federation of Planets is that it actually carries a lot more rewards in terms of experience. When you're looking at the experience that you're going to get for your experience bar up here, what you're going to notice is that a lot of these these are much greater than what you would typically get in some of the other campaigns. Like, for example, let's look at the Klingon Empire. All of these, well, at this particular time, but even in the next assignments that I'm going to get, they're only 2,000. These are 1,000 apiece. The Romulan, same thing, a couple thousand, 500, 1,800. That's fine. Again, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. So yes, it varies a little bit. For the most part, if you want some serious XP, you're going to want to take a look at the Federation, because the Federation seems to give a lot of the experience points when it comes to a lot of their missions. But in the first set of experience you're going to really take a look at before even this, if you're at level 0, is the campaign experience, and that's going to be noted by the symbol right here in the middle. So in this case, this Federation symbol is going to be the Federation XP, campaign XP. Here's the Klingon symbol, here's the Romulan symbol, and of course here's the Ferengi symbol. So kind of taking a look at that and seeing, well, what's going to yield me the greatest rewards more quickly? Well, it's not always 100% always about what's going to give you the most, because let me tell you something, when you finally get to doing a bunch of these that are going to yield a good amount of campaign XP, there is a daily limit of campaign XP that you can obtain in a day, and if you do any more missions beyond that, yes, you could still get the rewards like the experience or the regular character experience or the EC, but you're not going to get the campaign experience and progress that forward any further. So it may be useless to you if one of your goals is to make sure that you're maxed out in each of these so that you can start gaining the maximum amount of results and bang for your buck here. But for purposes of advancing your cause here, this is a heavy resource-based type of advantage. So it's definitely a daily type of activity that I would recommend for those of you playing STO. It's just a great way to get resources, dilithium, EC, and experience to get those extra specialization points. So those are pretty spectacular. When it comes to actually doing a mission, well, what is it that we're doing here? Well, let's take a look at a ship card. So you're going to notice that this Type 7 shuttle right here, it doesn't seem to be all that spectacular, right? I mean, this is the engineering symbol. Here's the tactical symbol. Here's the science symbol for those of you that didn't know. And the corresponding number next to it is how strong or how many ability points in that particular specialization that this particular ship has. But you're also going to notice that there's two other things that you're really going to want to pay attention to, and that's the innate ability that, or its special ability that the ship has, and in this case that's 5 times the critical rating from all stats, which is not going to mean a lot to you at this point. I'll explain that further in a moment. But then there's this other symbol over here with the wrench, and it gives you a 5M right next to it. That's 5 minutes. That's its repair time and the maintenance cost of it. So let's say that I used this particular ship on a mission to fly, right? Well, what we're going to find out is that this particular ship has a 5-minute cooldown specifically for its use. So if I use this in a mission, complete that mission, after the mission's complete, this will be in maintenance in this area here for about 5 minutes before I can use it again. Now, that is not typical of a lot of starships, as you will see in the ship roster that the shuttles have 5 minutes, but as you start getting to the ships, 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, and as you go further along, 12 hours, 18 hours, and in I believe that is the longest maintenance time is 18 hours that we can get to. So 18 hours after you've completed the mission. So whatever the time is to complete the mission plus the maintenance time is when you'll be able to use this ship again. And so that's very important to pay attention to. Now let's take a look at these special abilities that each of these ships have and kind of discuss that for a moment. But in order to fully understand what those do and how you can use them to your advantage, I think it'd be best to show you an example of how to set one of these up. So I'm going to choose one in the Federation campaign for just a moment, and let's take a look at one that I'm going to want because I want it and it's what I need right now. And so let's say I want more specialization points. Well, in order to get specialization points, and just for those of you that don't know what specialization points are experience points after you've reached level 65. Every time you fill up this experience bar again, you're going to get 1 extra point. And so if I'm trying to increase my specializations, let's say in this case in my intelligence officer tree, the more points that I have, the more abilities that I can unlock until it's finally all unlocked, as this one is here. But that's the reason you're going to want to pick up those specialization or more experience even after level 65, because the more of these that you have, the more combinations of abilities that you're going to be able to use when you're kind of experimenting with your build. And these abilities are very, very strong in helping you augment your combat, make you more survivable, make you higher DPS, and definitely worth looking at. My personal specializations right now are primarily intelligence and strategist, but that's just something that I've used with my Ox to Bat build. But this really isn't about your build, this is more about Admiralty. So I just wanted to show you why specialization points are useful, and one of the things that I like to do, and one of the reasons I like to run the United Federation of Planets, is because it's not only giving you a lot of experience, in this case 9,525 for this, completing that mission, which is significant, but then if I'm doing special missions like a tour of duty, which we'll talk about in a moment, I could actually get extra specialization points as a reward. But we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's just do this mission so that you can see how it's carried out. So this is the layout once you've selected a plan to sort of kind of pay attention to initially is right here. These are the requirements that are going to be required for you to take it out. Now you'll notice there's this little green lightning bolt next to one of the specializations, and instead of being 100, it actually is less. It's 90 is only going to be required to complete this, because there is an event that's occurring which is called a safe trade route, and as a result of it being a safe trade route, you actually didn't need as much tactical ability to get through that mission in order to complete it well. So as a result, instead of 100, it's 90. And so that's pretty cool of a modifier that you're going to be able to use. But more often than this, you're going to see the red lightning bolt, which is actually going to increase in an event the different requirements and make it more difficult to fulfill and complete those missions. Now, it is important to note that you do not have to fill the success chance up to 100% to complete a mission successfully. However, the lower you go, and in my experience, you go below 92 or 93, you're really pushing it as far as whether or not you can expect to complete that mission. And so I would really recommend trying to get that success chance as high as possible, but this is how you do it. So you will have a maximum of 3 ship slots and 3 ship cards that you can put in here. Note, how do you get ship cards? Well, you get ship cards by getting other ships. So as you progress in game, you're going to be given a certain number of ships, and those will indeed have Admiralty cards along with them. But in addition to that, if you ever open lock boxes and get ships, if you ever open if you ever go to the Zen store and purchase them outright, if you purchase them with dilithium, if you purchase them on the exchange, it really doesn't matter. If you're purchasing ships or acquiring ships a different way, you're going to get when you open it and put it into your active roster or into one of your dry dock slots, it doesn't matter, you're going to get an Admiralty card associated with that particular ship. And so the reason that's important to note is because those Admiralty cards are what's going to be listed in your ship roster and going to give you the ability to use that ship in the game. So that's what's going to be on your list here. And so for the first one, I'm going to go ahead and select something that's a little heavy in tack, because you'll notice that is the highest resource heavy resource that I need. So I'm gonna go ahead and look for that here and look down my ships, and I know that I have some pretty high tactical abilities. Like, for example, this Icarus pilot, it has a decent amount of science and it has a good amount of tactical. Not so much on the engineering, but that's okay, we can use another ship for that. So since this would take care of more than 2/3 of what's required, let's go ahead and slot that in. And boom, it's going to give me all the requirements for that. So here's the abilities, here's what it is, but I'm still not meeting the requirements for completing the mission, and at this point only have a 69% success chance at completing the mission. So I'm going to need another ship. So I'm going to look around, and what's the next heaviest needed thing? Well, I'm pretty much almost there with science, but you'll notice that there's this little ship symbol here. Don't let this fool you, okay? You're going to notice that one of the special abilities of this ship, and I'll go ahead and close this for the sake of showing you this, is when this ship is used by itself, you get an extra 35 science capability, but only when it's alone. So right now, I'm only 1 off from completing that science, but you notice that little ship symbol here is showing me that I am getting that extra 35 like I'm supposed to with that ship ability. That's how you know which of your required resources are being augmented and how that's happening. And so this is definitely something that you're going to want to take a look at when you're doing your your Admiralty missions. It's going to be important to note, because when I slot this next ship in, even though right now this seems like it's a lot more secured than engineering, I'm going to drop an engineering ship in here. Let's say it's this one, since I know this for sure would polish it off. Boom, it's done. But oh yeah, look, I'm actually below where I was before, and that's because I lost the 35 that I gained for the ship being alone, but I did gain an extra 10 science because this is a tack ship, and I get an extra 10 science for that. So it still has an augment to it, still pretty close to the mark, but not quite. And you notice it only has 12 tack, so it really didn't do much for my tack, but it definitely took care of the engineering that I needed. So finally, I'm going to find one more that's going to polish me off for good, and I'm going to find another one that's got some tack and some science that'd be enough to finish it off. It looks like this one right here. This one would give me an extra 10 science for engine ship. I do have one, and it's going to give me some extra engineering and some extra tactical, just enough to get me over the marks. So here I am, boom. I have a 100% success chance for slotting these 3 particular ships, but only a 16% crit chance. So what is crit? What does crit do, and how do we augment this? How do we make ourselves crit more? Because what this does is it gives you a chance at receiving bonus rewards from the assignment, which could be a lot, okay? And in order to get more crit chance, you could either increase the resources based on using different ships. You can increase the slotted resources for each of these areas. And it's just going to give you above the total, and whatever you're getting above that total, it's going to give you that in critical rating. And whatever that critical rating is, the higher it is, the more percent of a chance of success in critting for this particular assignment is going to happen. And when you crit, it gives you a lot, like a lot of extra resources. So whatever the rewards say it's going to be, well, you can practically double that. And that's what you're going to get for critting on this assignment. And I'm already going to get 9,525 experience. So if I were to crit, man, that's like 18,000. That's a big leap or jump when it comes to the experience bar, and it's definitely something that I'm going to want to look at. So definitely kind of keep that in mind. Another thing that could happen here is, though, maybe this isn't the best ship, or maybe this one isn't actually the best ship. Maybe I want to look for something that's a little more balanced, but still gives me a good amount of engineering to keep myself up there, but maybe give me a little bit more from something else. So if you take a look at what ships you have, it's like, oh, this one would be good, but it really doesn't have as much engineering. But it doesn't matter. Why? Because the special abilities that it has is that it gives me 15 engineering and tack per any ship that's not a small craft, and a small craft would be considered something like a shuttle. So you can't use a shuttle and expect that ability in particular to be augmented by a shuttle. But I can slot that in, and bam, look at that. That's a lot of extra when it comes to the resources. But notice my crit chance only went up to 28%. That's not a whole lot, especially for using an epic ship. That's not a terribly large amount that for you to be able to gain. So would it be efficient for you to use this specific ship just because it puts you way over the mark? No, not necessarily. Sometimes it's just a matter of finding the right ship to slot in there. So let's say that I wanted to put something more like the Rhode Island, because this one has a 3 times the critical rating from all stats. Well, that means that there are some ships that would give a 2.5 critical rating from events. Well, if there's an event here and it says that it gives you a +5, +10, or +50 or +100 critical rating, well, then this would be pretty excellent to use because of that special ability alone, and that it's going to enhance that or multiply that. But since this in particular, and then there's some other ones, let's see if I could find one here. 15 to all stats one alone. No. No. Here we go. So like something like the Tactical Escort Tier 6 here has a 2.5 times critical rating from Tactical. Well, man, with Tactical, that's a lot of tack. That's a lot of extra tack. And so if I were to assign that as a result instead of this ship, then I'm not going to meet quite the requirements, but you're going to notice my crit chance is still pretty high. And again, I want to note that even if I were to run this mission at 98% chance, the likely chances are that I'm going to complete this mission, I am going to crit, and that I am going to get extra rewards, but it's not guaranteed. You always run into those situations where it just doesn't work out, and so choose wisely, be careful when it comes to that. But that's how this is one way that you can augment your critical chance, is by doing it per stat. Or if I were to look at this from the Rhode Island perspective and go boom, now I am fulfilling all the requirements and yet still have a further increased critical chance to complete the mission. So this looks like the combination of ships that I'd want to use to give me the maximum critical chance as well as the maximum success chance, and give me the most resources and best bang for my buck for these 3 ships. I could always just do 2 assignments to get this to yield the same results, but that just uses ships twice as fast, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you a couple more things. I talked about earlier the tour of duty, and I think I should take a moment to talk about that for a moment because I think that's really important. The tour of duty is up here, and you'll see that there's a bar that shows how many tour of duties that I've completed for this particular set. Well, I just completed a set of the tour of duty for the Federation, and I do this because the reward for completing these 10 of these missions in a row is 2 specialization points. That means that when I complete it, not only do I get all the rewards from completing each of them, but at the end, when I've completed my 10th, I'm going to get 2 full bars of experience up here and 2 more experience points to put into my specializations, which is going to help me with my build much more quickly, especially if I'm brand new and I'm just getting into it and I'm just trying to fill out my trees. That's definitely one way to do it pretty quickly. But you'll notice that each of the campaigns, they actually give something a little different. Klingon and Ferengi, they're both going to give 30,000 dilithium for completing the string each, and that's dilithium ore, by the way. So there's a potential for an extra 60,000 dilithium that you could have there, which could be very useful since dilithium's so hard to get in the game. And then you're going to look at the Romulans, because the Romulans are going to give you actual universal tech upgrades, which do not require dilithium in order to use on your ship weapons, your consoles, your ground equipment, etc. These are all ways to upgrade yourself and be able to do that without having to spend dilithium. That is always pretty fantastic. So this is just one extra way to advance, and of course the Federation with its specialization points. So those are the rewards for the game. Now when you hit level 10, as I mentioned, you're going to get a ship for each of the campaigns. You're going to get an Admiralty ship card. No, you don't get to fly the ship, but yes, you do get that permanently in your ship roster to use to continue to gather more resources, regardless of the fact of you only having maybe 30 ships. And there are certain missions in the game that you can run that will also give you Admiralty cards, like one in the I believe it's the future proof campaign. So if you do that, you complete it, I believe at some point through this mission you're going to end up seeing a ship called the USS Pastok that you're going to get to use in your Admiralty missions as well. The USS Pastok is a pretty cool starship. This is it right here. As you can see, it has some excellent special abilities in ignoring the science plus or minus science from events, and gives an extra 8 science per any ship that's not a shuttle. So that's a pretty usable ship. Definitely heavy in the science that you could use to take some stuff on. So again, tour of duty. Let's go back to that since we keep talking about it, but I haven't really shown you one yet. So I actually did one recently, and I went ahead and did it. And just to show you what the requirements are, what the rewards are, what my success chance is, I went ahead and chose I choose to do these because you'll notice they give a lot of campaign EXP, which is going to help you progress faster, but they also give you an exceptional amount of experience on top of that. So that's great, but to fully take advantage of this, especially considering how long these missions run, and in this case it's like 20 hours, so how do you take advantage of a mission that takes like 20 hours to run when you're not going to be able to see these ships for 20 hours plus 12 hours of maintenance? That's 32 hours before I'd be able to use these ships again, theoretically, in total, if or at least this Lucari Nakam scout ship, after I'm done running the mission. So there are some things that we can use to augment that. Well, you'll notice for the requirements, it only requires 10, which is pretty phenomenal for the rewards that we're getting, right? But as you progress through the tour of duties for 2 of 10, 3 of 10, 4 of 10, the requirements will continue to grow and be more and more costly, and the rewards will roughly stay the same. So that's something that you're going to want to keep in mind. And as far as the duration and time that it takes, try running one of these tours of duty in each of the campaigns at least once a day, and you're going to start to see a lot of progression very, very quickly, as well as some pretty spectacular rewards at the end of your tours of duty. So what I've done here is I went ahead and slotted the Nakari scout ship initially, which actually took care of all of the requirements all by itself. Then on top of that, its special ability was that I got 2.5 times the critical rating from science, which gave me a lot because that's actually where I was furthest ahead. So it gave me an extra 2.5 times what I would normally have here, which is 99. Bam! For my science, though, keep in mind, for the added science, and all of a sudden it gave me a much higher critical rating. But this is not strictly due to this. It's actually in combination with one of my shuttles, which, although doesn't have a lot of resource or ability points in each of these areas, it does have another multiplier for the critical rating from all stats. That's why shuttles can be really useful. You really want to pay attention to what they do and how they can help you progress in your missions, because shuttles are very useful, and sometimes more useful than some of the more heavy resource ability or point ships that you might have in your roster. And so in this case, in terms of making sure that I'm maxing out my ability to crit and my ability to succeed, I'm already at 100% with this ship. So let's just increase my critical chance insanely, because I'm already doing it here, and then I can further exacerbate that to 398 critical rating, which is pretty spectacular all by itself. Well, now that gave me about 86% chance by itself. But then when I was looking at the third slot, you don't have to slot a third ship in there. You could run it with only 2. You could run it with only 1, as long as you're meeting all the requirements. But I'm like, you know what? I don't want it to take 32 hours to get this ship back. Let's see if we can mitigate that a little bit. So, well, this is a 25% maintenance reduction per any ship that's not a shuttle. So I'm only going to get 25% because I've only got one ship here that's not a shuttle. But 25% reduction is still 3 hours off of that. So instead of 32 hours, it'll only take 29 hours. I'm getting 87% in my critical chance, which means I'm pretty much going to crit most likely. And that's going to give me twice of the experience here. And as an additional bonus, one and sometimes 2 pass tokens. Oh, and also pay attention to the event rewards, because the event rewards are important. In this case, look what I'm getting. I'm getting like 300,000 EC on top of these rewards just for running this because of the event. And the events are random. So you'll notice, let's say I'm going to be running through a couple of these. Well, this one has events that say, well, in this case, there's a red lightning bolt. So now I have an extra 10 added to the requirements, because it says that here for the tactical. So I'm going to need to make sure I pay attention to that. Plus, I have an extra 5 critical rating, which is great. That's just going to help me crit chance a little bit easier, an extra 2%. And then it gives me also a small dilithium ore package, which is listed right here. So a small dilithium ore package, which gives me 500 extra dilithium, plus these rewards that it's giving me here. That's a decent amount of resources, even though it's only giving me 174 campaign XP. So it's definitely something you're going to want to try to balance. So once you've hit level 10, you're not really worried about campaign experience anymore. That's not what you're looking at. You're looking at the specific rewards that you'd be getting for doing those missions and for whatever you're farming. So that's how you're going to look at it, how you could strategize like which missions you should do versus others. It does not matter which one you do as far as Federation, Klingon, Romulan, or Ferengi. Honestly, they're all going to yield great rewards. It doesn't matter which one you come to first. There's no order you have to do them in. You just want to do them as much of it as possible in order to get them up quickly, so that you're no longer worried about the campaign XP. You're more focused on what kind of rewards you're going to get for doing those missions and just reap the benefits of that. So this is a very, very useful system. I highly, highly recommend doing this on a daily basis, and I would really like you all to consider doing this on the daily. Even if you only have like 30 minutes to log on and play STO, this is definitely one way that you can very much maximize the efficiency of that time. And these missions run even if you're offline, so you don't have to be online even while you're sleeping. You could just set these to run overnight, and when you get up in the morning or when you come back to STO, eventually all of those rewards will be available to collect later. In this case, I did gain success. It gives me 5,888 campaign experience, even though I really don't need that anymore, which is great. But it does give me an extra 5,000 experience, which I could use, and boom, there's my 5,000 experience. I collected it. I also gained 3 faction specific prisoners, and so those are my rewards for doing that particular mission. When I crit, it could possibly double that, and if I do, I might get an extra couple of pass tokens, which will help me weed through some of the ones that maybe I don't want to do. Like this little 90 right here. I mean, it doesn't take many resources, but it's just one more mission that's going to take up one of the slots that I have to use, and some of my ships to in order to complete it that I may not want to use on that. So I'm going to go ahead and pass on that particular one. And if you look down below the on deck assignments, this will show you what's coming up. And if you like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, ooh, I'm chomping at the bit because I want to get 714 campaign experience in order to get there faster. So immediately I'm going to want to take this away, right? Well, be careful, because sometimes they give event rewards which are very useful, and so you don't just want to go willy-nilly passing up a bunch of stuff and using up all your pass tokens just so that you can immediately get to the highest yielding result, because as I told you before, there is a daily cap on the experience for each of the campaigns that you can receive. And even though that doesn't keep you from getting the rewards, it does keep you from getting the progression in the campaign. And it'll tell you right here up above, you've reached the maximum daily XP for this particular area or campaign, so you can't progress any further for this day. And so that's something to keep in mind. There will also be little gold symbols right here, right here, right here, right here. And if you see those little gold coin symbols, what that means is that you're going to receive, if it's the first mission in this campaign that you do, is going to receive extra rewards, which is pretty phenomenal. So please try to keep that in mind. Please try to take advantage of that as well and try to utilize that. I always try to kind of take it with the how do I say this, the tour of duty missions. If I get one of those gold coins, I'll see if I have a tour of duty coming up pretty quick. I'll see if I can get rid of some missions that I'm probably not going to find use in, and then I'll slot a tour of duty in each of those, and I'll get extra campaigns. I can make it crit, and I can I can complete a high level or a high yielding experience and campaign experience type of thing, and I can pretty much max out the efficiency of what 3 ships can do for me in that. And so that's definitely something that you're going to want to really take advantage of. So guys, this is just a quick and sort of dirty introduction to the Admiralty system. If you always have questions, remember, my name is Christopher Bohse. I am one of the fleet Armada. I'm one of the fleet leaders for the AFC Armada, and so I welcome any questions and anything that you might have. Please put those in the comment section below. I'd be happy to answer them. And if any of you would like to discuss anything more about the Admiralty system online, we're always open to members. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being a member of the AFC, and don't forget to boldly go.